There are some things that I just can't abide, things that completely exhaust the life out of me, and it's not going to be what you think. If you've seen my videos before, you're probably saying, well, if you didn't work on 1,000 songs at a time, you wouldn't be so exhausted. But as you will see in this podcast, it's not exactly my point. There are so many things we have to deal with as musicians, as producers, as busy music business people. And surprisingly, it has little to do with the music itself, or even the music work itself, which for me is now getting to be about 80% play and only 20% work, which has been a really nice change from years of producing music that was only what the client wanted. That exhausted me too, working for clients, and to some extent, working for libraries or music companies or music publishing companies is similar to working for clients, except you're working with professionals who have been in the business for many years, so it's a little different. But today we are going to talk about the things that do exhaust me and probably exhaust you as well as you go about living a music life, as you go about ramping up in your music career and getting to that sweet spot in music income, music accomplishment, and living that music life that you always dreamed about. I'm almost there myself, and it's so exciting. But there are things that just frost me. Welcome to the Make Music Income Podcast. My name is Eric Copeland, and I've made a full-time living as a music producer, composer, and arranger for over 25 years. In this podcast, I talk about making music income with music licensing, music production, music streaming, music royalties, being a music composer, arranger, producer, or artist, or really any way that I have in the past or currently now or want to make music income. I have free and paid courses and coaching and ebooks for you at makemusicincome.com/free. Make sure to like this podcast if you enjoy the content because it really helps, and subscribe if you're just finding the podcast or channel and want to be part of things every week. I hope all this content helps you make the music you love to make and make music income. Well, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Today's video is sponsored by the Getting in Sync ebook version 5. I hope I spelled everything right on there. I was just thinking about this the other day and kind of looking at it, and I realized that it needed some freshening up. So you'll find that in the description below, or you can go to makemusicincome.com and go to the store and get it. And listen, people who hawk their services is on my list today of things I am exhausted about, but especially on their YouTube channels, where we'll talk about that in a minute. But it was time for an update for this ebook, and in the book, I now give what I feel is the real secret in finding music libraries. And it's something I talk about all the time, or I do now with clients when they do coaching sessions, and I talk to them about what I think the secret is in finding sync libraries, getting in touch with them, but specifically which ones. And a little easy secret to finding the libraries that will get you the placements and get you the money, which is what I did and was lucky enough to find when I first did this. So check that out. That is new and updated, and all of my materials are about to be updated and probably all put into one book. And so if you buy this book, which is the cheapest thing I have and sell, I think it's very valuable. And I think it tells only my story, but I think you'll get something out of it. But the thing that really continues to be what I feel is the most important thing and most interesting thing is the Positive Spin Partners program. And this is something we are just having a ball with. It's growing by leaps and bounds as far as the different people that are part of it. I've got new programmers, I've got new beat makers, I've got new composers, I've got new songwriters. I'm bringing in new singers, instrumentalists. If you are a professional at an instrument, like especially viola, upright bass, I'm trying to put together kind of a working quintet, string quartet thing for a lot of arrangements that libraries just love these things. And so if you do that, if you are a flute player, if you are a clarinet player, and I'm talking a professional, I'm not just talking that you played in third grade. That's not what I'm looking for. If you're obviously, if you're a composer and you are ready to get your music into music libraries and get your music taken to the next level, well, that's what we do. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to start a new Monday morning Zoom meeting. I just sent an email to all the partners today about it, and everyone's excited about it. It's something I used to do kind of back in the day. Every Monday I would have a meeting with my team, but the team is so large now. I still do send out Monday updates at 8 a.m. every Monday to everyone, or at least I try to get updates out by 8 a.m. every Monday. It's like, this is what we're working on this week on your project towards getting it. And that could be anything from we're starting it to we're in the middle of it, we're working on these songs, to we're finishing, we're mixing it, we're pitching it. It got signed. I just was able to tell 3 different composers this week that their album got signed. Nothing like that. There's just no feeling like that. Talk about the opposite of exhausting. That is amazing. And so we're going to share our projects in this Monday morning meeting, and we're going to document it and record it for organization purposes here at Make Music Income, or Positive Spin Songs Income Central. We're just so we have, everybody knows what's going on. And it's just for me to share exciting news and partners. Like, it's just such an exciting time. I've got 11 instrumental projects underway, and that's just because we just finished 3. I have 6 or more vocal projects underway, and that's just probably, that's 17 projects. That's a little low for what I usually have, but that's because we're finishing and getting these signed. We had 3 albums accepted to libraries in the past week alone, and a whole new, unique library just approached me out of the blue, and I signed with them, and there's going to be stuff happening with that. So there's so much going on. It's so exciting, so much music being made, so much back and forth with so many different partners. It's just so exciting. But I hear you saying, well, no wonder you're exhausted. 11 10-song projects. 11 10-song projects. That's over 100 songs. 6 10-song projects. That's 60 more songs. Yes, that sounds exhausting to the normal human being, but for me, it's not as much because I have been used to working on multiple albums at a time as a producer when I was in Nashville, and before. It's been my job for 25 years, so it's not a thing that is hard for me. It's about organization. But that's the first thing I want to talk about here before I talk about these things that exhaust me and probably exhaust you too, because you're going to think that likely I'm exhausted from all the music I'm making. Well, no. As a matter of fact, it's absolutely the opposite. I am pumped up by all the music that's happening. I am pumped up by all the networks and everything. There's never enough time to do all the music that I want to do. I literally have to stop myself to quit working at night. It's kind of like Forrest, stop, in Forrest Gump, where they had to put big signs up to tell him to stop once he made a touchdown and not just keep running. And I'm like that at dinner time. I'm like that at time to go work out. I'm like, I don't want to go drive all the way over there and work out. I want to keep working on this stuff. But I know I have to do that. I have to, on the weekends, I try not to come in here. And it's very difficult to not do music because it does not exhaust me. Because it is work, but it also is fun. And 80% of what I do, if not 90%, is now fun stuff to do. And it's especially fun because it's getting accepted everywhere. It's getting, and everyone is telling us what you are doing is unique. the quality is so high, they're just not used to that. And there's just not enough hours in the day for me to get all the music done. So music is not at all the thing that's exhausting me. Companies are coming to us now, and there's just never enough time to do all the things we want to do. That might be the exhausting part, is that I get frustrated that there's not more hours in the day. So that's the part that I get more frustrated about. But it's not music. I can tell you the front cover that you saw where I look so exhausted is not because I have too much to do. That's not it. We're going to get into what it is. The first one that really I find exhausting is music outlets. And I bet this probably exhausts you too. And if any of these things I'm saying exhaust you, give me a thumbs up. But I tell you what, all of the music outlets that we have to deal with is completely exhausting. And we'll just start at the top with sync libraries. I mean, I talked about my Getting in Sync book, and in there I talk about my whole struggle and the way that I got into sync. And again, you can find that below if you're interested in looking at it and checking it out. But the book and the course talk about my whole journey into sync licensing. And just doing a search for libraries, and some of you can identify with this, finding the right libraries, finding the right people in those libraries. It's not just the library that will get back to you, but is the person who's going to get back to you, or who's going to be your contact, somebody who is good to work with. And I have been so amazingly blessed to have some really great people to work with at my libraries, and continuing to find new people. Someone new just contacted me this week, and we're working together, and already it looks like it's going to be an amazing adventure together. But there are so many sync licensing companies to find. And how do you find them? Well, that's in the ebook, but even once you have that information, you're still going to have to contact them and wait to hear from them. And who do I send what to? Listen, I have a bit of a situation right now with two libraries who are interested in the same album. I wouldn't call it exhausting, because it's part of the job, and it doesn't bother me that much. Pitching is fun, but it's a lot to find all the sync outlets and try to figure out which one. It gets exhausting, because you just make this whole list, and you're waiting for people to email you back. And if you're like me, I'm keeping it in a spreadsheet, and I'm making sure I know who I've emailed, and when I emailed them, what I emailed them, and all of that kind of stuff. That's a lot. And the exhausting part really is when you are waiting for them to come back to you, waiting to hear back and finding more. I've got to a place now where I have 7 to 10 libraries to work for, which is probably enough. And they all are taking albums. And we'll see, though, another exhausting part is waiting for a year or two to see which library is really going to place things and where you're going to get placements, and then knowing, okay, I need to get stuff back out of that library and put it into another one because that one didn't work. So that can be, outlets for sync can be very exhausting. The other exhausting ones are what I will call stock libraries, and I've determined there are 3 different kinds of stock libraries, and there is a stock video coming, ladies and gentlemen. If you're wondering, am I going to address stock music in 2025? I am. I thought about it last night, and I almost started talking about it, but I want to wait through June so that I have 6 months of data to tell you about what 2025 is looking like before I go off on stock, because it's probably going to happen that I am going to have the Come to Jesus video about stock music. It's coming. But with stock music, I think there are 3 different tiers. There is mid-tier, which is kind of like what we've always called like Artlist and Music Bed, and there's a few others. And these are really high quality, almost like sync quality libraries that are trying to, and succeeding, I believe, in wrapping up stock music because of their quality. Their quality is so high that they are ruling stock now. Artlist, it is doing so well, and so is like the other one. I can't think of the other one at this moment, but I know there's like MusicBed and there's all these other ones, these mid-tier libraries. And then we have what I call lower mid-tier, which is like Audio Sparks and Song Trader. They're trying to be kind of what Artlist is, except they're messing with AI. Let me just give you a little tip. If a library is saying, hey, we use AI and your music can benefit from being part of and used by AI for, that's not a high-end library. That's not Artlist. That's not a sync library, because they want nothing to do with AI. At least right now, with the way things are, they want original human-made music. But these lower mid-tier and then regular old stock libraries like Pond5, Motion Array, Envato, they're not getting ready to get in bed with AI. They are AI crazy people right now. I mean, Envato Elements now has AI music that you can use in your stock, in your videos. And so if you see the words, use AI music, use our AI music, or you're getting, like we got last week, an email from Audio Sparks, and Audio Sparks is telling us, make sure you open yourself up for AI opportunities and let your music be eaten up by AI so it can be used and you can make money. That, my friends, I think is the sign that that's not the library that you need to be in if you're a serious musician, not wanting to be completely phased out by computers. I think sync, upper mid-tier libraries that are like sync except for stock, I think they're starting to rule. And we'll talk all about that in the stock video when I get there this month. But all of those, it's just the music outlets for your stock music, even all that is exhausting. And stock itself is exhausting because it's just not selling. And we're making music and we're taking all this time to put stuff up, and you're entering stuff in Audio Sparks or Song Trader, all of these things to enter in, and you're making nothing. So that is completely exhausting. Sheet music is something I've been getting into, but it is exhausting. I love doing it, but the process is exhausting as far as putting it into a notation program and then taking it from a notation program and then putting it up on ArrangeMe and Music Notes or JW Pepper, picking which music outlet you're going to use and which one is going to work for you. There's a bit of exhaustion there that happens. And then the biggest one of all, and there is a video coming about this, and I keep talking about it, but music distributors. Which music distributor are you going to use? Are you going to use CD Baby, DistroKid? Are you going to use Lander? Or who are you going to use? And which one should you use and why? And why is this one better than the other one? And which one should I use? Should I use multiple ones? DistroKid is fine, and I can put as much as I want up, but if I don't pay the thing, they take it down. CD Baby's great, but they're taking too long to put stuff up, and it is one price, but then it's not one price. And then they want you to pay an extra price to get it sooner, like the speed that DistroKid gets you there. It's just exhausting to me how many outlets there are for all of our music. That, I think, exhausts me. And I bet it exhausts you too. Licks of the Legend says, is it even possible to get into stock at this point? Pond5 seems totally dead. Possible is not the word. Is it even needed? Is it even something you should do at this point is what we need to talk about. Because we're at a place with stock that, again, I don't want this to be the stock video, but is it possible to get into stock? Sure. But is it possible to get into these mid-tier libraries like Artlist? Well, Artlist is closed right now. And I got into one of them this week that I'm not necessarily ready to talk about on this channel. And I don't even know, since it's an exclusive deal, that I can or will. But I think stock music, Pond 5, I have had some Pond 5 sales lately, which means I made $1 every sale because the only way I found to sell them is to keep it low. If anybody on here or either live or watching later is making money from Pond 5 with $30 songs or $60 songs, like we were instructed to years ago, put everything at $59. I've only found that sales come if you price it around $5, and that means you make about $1.50 or something like that, which is dumb. But my stock stuff is all stock stuff. It is going to be what it is. Motion Array, actually, as we'll talk about later this month, is paying about the same. Even though they're a roller coaster right now with their site, but I don't know. Is it even possible to get into stock? Is it the question? Should you is the question. And maybe you should continue, unless, again, you want to use stock just for practice, licensing practice, which I guess you could do. But the problem is you'll get into Pond 5, you'll get into Content ID, and then if you want to take those songs and do something else with them in sync or even in mid-tier libraries, you cannot. So just something to keep in mind. But we'll talk about that down the road a little bit. Joel says, about distributors, agreed, exhausting. Yeah, we've been talking about it on this channel. I'm getting ready to release another single. I'll do it on DistroKid just because I use that. DistroKid isn't perfect, but it works for me, and I do like the hyperfollow thing that it has. CD Baby has exhausted me to death, and I can't see using it again. I'd rather not if I don't have to. I will be doing a video about distributors at some point, and basically I'm just going to go off Ari Herstand's list of distributors because he's done the most and continues to update his list about distributors. But even his list is getting older, and there are things that aren't true because they change every week. But distributors of your music, trying to get stuff to Spotify and all that kind of stuff, which one do you use? Just exhausting, I think. So, all right, well, let's move on here, and let's go to something that, now this is going to get me in trouble. I really feel like this one is where I'm going to get in trouble with people who watch this, with people who, I don't know if anybody will feel offended by this, but one of the things that is truly exhausting to me, and again, a lot of this is because of my job as a music producer, but it is, in fact, music people that exhaust me. And I bet that the people that you deal with in music also frustrate you to no end. The people who are in your town that you work with, the people who play in your band at church, the people who play in your band in general, the people that you deal with in your town that have the studio and the engineer who knows everything, and all of this stuff is really hard to deal with as a broad category. Music people, they're the worst. They're tough. It is very hard to deal with some music people. And I kind of break this down into a few areas. The music people I have the most problem with, and what frustrates me, and probably is the reason I did this video in the first place, and because I'm not as mad about it today as I was like last week, but the music people that bother me the most are quitters. And this is going to hit home really kind of tough. This is going to be the hot take of this video. Quitters never win. And music people who quit bother me no end. And guess what? This goes across the spectrum. I'm not talking about amateurs here. We will talk about that. But I'm talking about pros that quit. I think there is some Venn diagram where there is like a line on one end, and it's the line of how much talent someone has. And on the other side of the diagram is how hard it is to either work with them or get them to use their talent correctly. Finding someone who is supremely talented and easy to work with and keeps working is amazingly complicated and amazingly frustrating and exhausting. I have people who are pros that I've been working with for years that suddenly just quit in the middle of a job, or in the middle of, they're just not available anymore, or they just quit the music business because it's too hard and exhausting. And this goes down the line, right? It goes from pros to semi-pros. Semi-pros are also bad because these are people who are not pros. They don't make their living from music, but maybe they have before, or they now have another job, and so they kind of do music on the side, but they do it they just don't take it as seriously as you would want someone to take it. Listen, the people who come to work with me in my partner program, what you're going to find in me every day is this passion that I'm talking with right now. This is how I work on music. I've already told you how focused I am on it, and that if there's anything that I'm not exhausted about, it's music. Making the music and doing all the things. All I'm going to talk about at the end of this, things that don't exhaust me but should. And I know exhaust other people, but music doesn't. But the music people who are pros or semi-pros, and then, of course, even amateurs or hobbyists who quit, it just weighs on, it just hurts my heart. And it's something that I deal with on a daily basis. I deal with people every month who quit, who are starting down the road. And if you're a person who I've worked with before and you've had to pause and quit, please don't take this personally. This is not your fault. Many people quit because of many things. Sometimes it's just because of money. They can't afford to pay money anymore. People quit taxi every day because they can't afford it anymore. People quit a lot of things every day. And I'm not talking about quitting me or quitting taxi. I'm talking about quitting music, quitting doing professional work, or striving to be a music pro. There are lots of reasons why people quit, and they're very personal. And again, I know this is going to be a hot take as far as, people who watch this video and saying, I've quit. Does that make me a bad person? No. But we're talking today about what frustrates me and probably what frustrates you. How many times have you been working with someone, maybe even in your hometown or in your church or whatever, and they just say, I'm not doing music anymore. I've just decided to start painting, or I've just decided I'd rather ride around on a motorcycle and take video. There's someone watching this right now that is, I hope, is going to laugh because I'm being facetious. I'm just joking. But there are people who have done great work for me that stop because they get burnt out. Burnout is real. I get that. But I also, it just saddens me. And it's not just because they quit paying me. The people that I'm talking about right now in my mind are people I pay that have promised me things, or I've promised them to other people, and because they're so talented and they've quit the music because they're doing something else. And they're, like I said, the more talented that I find people, the more crazy they are, and the more unpredictable, and the more that they quit and they come back, and then they quit and then they come back, and it's just exhausting. And I'm not like that. I'm just a person. I've been doing music since I was 13 years old, and I haven't stopped. There was never a day ever in my career where I said, I'm going to stop doing music. I just don't want to do music anymore. And again, I do tell people when they say, I think I want to quit doing music, then what we say in Nashville? You probably should quit. If you can quit, then you should. If it's not a calling, if it is not your focus, if it is not your life's goal to do music and do it in the best way you can, then go do something else. I know that's a hot take, and I know that's going to drive people off the video and get them mad, and I may get ugly comments, but go ahead, quit. But try to quit after the job is done that you promised. That would be great. Another person this isn't a quitter that I don't like in music people. It's non-starters. It's the people who want to start but won't, no matter how easy I make it for them. Bring me your music. You have great music. You are a talented player. Come work with me. I want to work with you. I might work with you for free because you're so talented. Nah, not for me. And I'm like, God gave you a talent. God gave you immense talent. If you don't use it, that's just irresponsible. And so when people email me about getting started, they're so excited. And we talk and there's talks. And then at some point, something happens in the communication or something. I may say some smart ass thing like I would normally do. And people will email back and go, you know what, forget it. I don't think I want to do this. And I'm like, why even waste my time or anyone's time if you're not going to do this consistently forever? I have worked with hundreds of artists in my career as a producer. And as I tell people, the difference about working with the people I work with now versus the people I used to work with, is that the people I work with now are looking for a back end, there has to be a reason you're doing music. But I have worked with so many people, and it's not that they do quit, especially artists. Artists just are the biggest quitters in the business because it's hard. I'll tell you that, to be an artist in 2025 especially. But even over the past 25 years or 30 years as I've been working with artists and bands and different things, most of them aren't doing music anymore. They spent $10,000, $20,000 making albums, and they're in their garage. They never went out to sell them. They never did anything with them except make them. It's a whole nother video in itself as well. And again, I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but I told you I was exhausted. And it tires me out, especially when I have so many other people who are sending me so many files all day long that I can't even keep up with all of them. I have to stop and spend a day and listen to a project that someone sent me all the songs for. That's amazing that you sat and did all of that, and I am honored to sit there and listen to all that and work with you on this music. And people are sending me so many files. I sent 2 songs to a new partner to put some beats on and get some stuff back. The next morning it was in my inbox, and they were fantastic. I challenged my cello player to work with me on 2 more albums, even though she wanted to stop for the summer. She's almost done with the first one. I just challenged her like 5 days ago, and she's already sent me 5 to 8 songs of the 12 we need. It's just, I have so many people with that fire, that the people who come to me and say, I'd like to work with you, and I could make it $1. I don't even know what the price is. I could give them my lowest price. They're not starting because of the price. They're not starting because of fear. They're not starting because it's not going to work. They're not starting because they're not confident, or I don't know what it is, because I don't have that in me, at least in music. And so that frustrates me to no end, to find great, talented people and then convince them to do great work and to possibly make money at it if they work hard at it. It's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Let's move to the last music people that I am frustrated with right now, that exhaust me. And it's almost led to I wouldn't say boycott of YouTube and podcasts, but I'm getting close. And most of it's because I have so much to do myself. I don't have time to hear about other people's doing stuff. Jesse's new app, and which is cool. And, everybody else's opinion on how to do sync or how to make money or how to do, be an artist or all this kind of stuff. All of it's fine and valid and great. But we have to talk for a minute about music gurus. And I am not talking about anyone in particular, and especially not my friends, especially not Dave Croft at 52Qs or Stevie B or Jesse or any of these people. But I'm a little exhausted with music gurus right now, especially the people. And listen, Graham Cochran is one of my favorite people. But I listened to his podcast yesterday. He sells information on how to do business, how to make an online business. And his business is an online business. It's like he's eating his own tail. And it's like the clients that come to him want to do what he's doing so that they can do what he's doing for someone else, and then he can do. And I see these people who are music gurus, who are young people, and they say, and their videos repeatedly are the same subject, and that is, I made $100,000 with my music. You can too, but the problem is they're not making money on their music. They're making money on making videos about making music and getting you to buy courses on how to make money making music. It's not about making music. Now, there's like Saad Haddad, who is a composer teacher, and his course is all about how to compose music. I think that is very cool. Stevie B really focuses as a YouTuber, even though he doesn't have time because he's too busy making music, and I totally am there as well. I do an hour a week of ranting, so like I'm doing right now. But I'm talking about the people who are younger than me, who are doing these videos about how you can make money in the music space, but not because you're making music, but because you're selling courses on how to sell courses on making music, or not even selling courses about how to make music, but just selling courses on things you can do that are around the music space. It's just, I don't know. And listen, I have courses. I have eBooks. I'm selling an ebook today. It's on a specific thing I talk about and do all day long, which is work with sync libraries and get in sync. Stevie B talks about and sells courses on music production, which is what he does all day long. I think that's a little different. Dave Croft is involved full time in making music for music production and teaching it at school. So he is a teacher of this craft. Dave, which is funny, his name is Dave Croft, and he teaches about the craft. So anyway, I don't mind that. What I mind is people teaching about things that they're not doing. And if people are selling courses, and this is why you're going to probably see my stock music license course and ebook come down, or at least be rolled into one main book. But I was starting to update the stock music book last night, and I was just like, why am I doing this? It goes back to that comment. Looks at the Legends, who says, is it even possible? And I think what he means is it even plausible to get into stock at this time? And that's what I kept running into with my book. And so the gurus and this is one reason why I've just stopped listening and watching, is that people are trying to sell you on how to make a business, selling other people on how to make a business, selling other people on how to make a business. Listen, if I didn't think that you could get something out of this to help you in your mental state, this is what I call a music income headspace video, where I'm talking about things that bug me and they probably bug you. And I would imagine some of these things get on your nerves because they do me. But all right, that's enough bashing on music gurus. And I'm a music guru. So to some extent, I'm bashing on myself, but only if it's not helpful to you to make music and make music income. It's in the tagline. If you saw the tagline at first, it's in the tag. The R&B News Review says, "Hi, Mr. Copeland. There are those who are driven by the spectacle of the industry and those who are career focused and understand the long term. Yeah. And that is what I'm talking about, is people who are in this. I've heard it. This is the way I've heard it said and the way I say it. I do music because I cannot not do it. There's just no not doing music for me. Now, some of the people that I talked about in my music people rant are people who are doing music in a different way than they were doing it with me. So if they were working in sync and they decide to quit doing sync and go back to doing live music, or they're singing, at karaoke bars, or they're working at studios, or they're performing and they don't have time to do other things. You know what? That's totally fine. I'll absolutely give a pass to the people who have to quit one music thing to do another music thing. That's no problem. But I think so many people walk into this, and artists are the worst at this, because they are looking for fame and fortune and the industry's approval of them, and their friends and family's approval of them, and their audience's approval. That's all that artists are after, is to be an artist and be enjoyed and be appreciated. And when that appreciation doesn't come, or once they get it, they're good. They said, oh, that was fun. I got some appreciation for my music. Yay. And then they go on. And so I totally get it. Blue Sky, how to make money, telling people how to make money, telling people how to make money making music. Yeah, well, it's the problem is they rarely get around to the music part. They may give some thoughts about how to use Logic or something like that, but I think people need more help with thoughts in their head about their career and music than just how to make a course and sell it. I think too many people are making courses about making courses. I do have a book, right? And I talked about it at the top. Getting in Sync is not a book about how you can write a book about getting in sync. Getting in sync is about how you get in sync. I mean, it's a literal blueprint that I followed and I'm still following. And I just updated it again. So it's helpful for people. So I think there's a big difference in the people who are really trying to help people make money and the people who are trying to help people make money, just like you said, make money, telling people how to make money, telling people. That does exhaust me. And it continues to exhaust me. And it's why I've had to just cut down on podcasts and YouTube for a while. And I end up watching videos about Marvel Snap, a game that I am obsessed with right now. Don't get me started. If you're into that, don't even start. Or I just leave YouTube on a lake, with water flowing, and I just play a game or something. Let me talk about a few things that don't exhaust me. You know what doesn't exhaust me? Some of these things that don't exhaust me probably do exhaust you. But there are 4 things here. And number 1 is music marketing. Music marketing does not make me exhausted. I love doing it. I like making ads and putting them up and watching the stats and seeing the numbers go up and seeing, if it's for a Spotify thing. I really enjoy putting my single out and doing some different marketing things. I love doing that. Doesn't exhaust me. It probably exhausts you, though, the thought of marketing your music. And this is what really probably drove a lot of artists out of the game, is because music becomes about marketing after you get it made. And most of them just couldn't hang for that. And most people who are even in sync. Now, in sync, you don't really have to market yourself. But I guess in sync, the marketing part is getting it signed. That doesn't seem to be a problem right now with as many libraries as I have. And with the albums that I am accepting and bringing in, we are not having that problem. So we don't have to market ourselves as music composers to get into these libraries, because we're just making quality, really high quality. The word I keep hearing from the music that we're putting out, that I'm pitching, is high quality, which is It better be, because that's what I've been after the whole time. The other thing that doesn't really exhaust me, but should, is networking, making these new relationships with libraries and feeding those relationships by offering them music and offering them more and more new albums all the time, and going the extra mile to get things done and have communication be good. I have a library I'm working with in LA right now, and we are working on 9 songs that are vocal songs. And so when you work on vocal songs, there's so much more to do than instrumental. That's why I have 11 instrumental albums and only 6 vocal albums going on, because vocal albums take double the work, because then after you get everything instrumentally done, then you have to find the vocalist, you have to work with the vocalist. That's another thing that probably exhausts me a little bit, is working with vocalists. And then you have to get the vocal back, you have to make sure you have to make sure it's all paid for and all the money, and then you have to get it mixed, because I can mix vocal stuff, but I prefer not to, just because it's just more. Because you have to mix with a focus on the vocal, and then you have to get the band just right underneath, and it's just a lot. So that does exhaust me. Vocal songs probably exhaust me, but the relationships going back and forth with people don't. And I love serving people, and I love serving these libraries, and I think they like that, and they appreciate it. And so I think that's why they keep taking music from us. Video production, making videos, going live. This doesn't exhaust me. It used to, because I spent so much time editing. And now, to your chagrin likely, I don't. I do 1 hour-ish of video a week, and then I might chop that up into some little, what I call MMI shorters, make music income but shorter, where I just take a 5-minute segment of something I'm ranting about, and I put that out by itself with maybe a few little extra tweaks to it. But that doesn't take me that long. And in some mornings, I'm not ready to do music yet. I'm barely awake, and editing video is a little easier. So video production is something I've been doing since I was a kid, and shooting, Super 8 movies and editing them and stuff. That's always kind of been a side hobby. Doesn't exhaust me. I like doing it. It's fun. Unless it's not, until it's not. But it's just easy for me, so it does not exhaust me. But I know a lot of you who think, I got to make a music video for this song, and that exhausts you. But it doesn't exhaust me. And finally, the thing that should exhaust me, but doesn't, which is why I keep doing it, is this channel. I like doing this live. It's fun. I got to talk to somebody. There's nobody. I could talk to my team. There's no team. But there is a team, and hopefully we're going to get into things. As I was talking about the new meeting that we're going to be having. No, not you. The new meeting that we're going to be having for the Positive Spin Partners program on Monday mornings. If you're interested in being part of that program, we're going to be meeting every Monday morning as a group on Zoom. I'm going to record it. I'm going to have Zoom does this thing where it keeps the notes, kind of like the minutes of the meeting, and then I can give that to my wife, and down the road, if there are other partners that come in, and people who couldn't make the meeting could get the notes from the meeting and know what's going on, and kind of just know what's going on. Y'all, this is turning into a business, and we are not that far from being a library. I'm afraid to even say the word, because if I say the word library, you're going to send me music saying, will you accept my music? And the truth is, I am looking for partners, and the partners program is a paid program. So, and I can't afford that many people in it. So I literally have to have people pay me to be in it, because I can only afford to work with so many people. And that's my full-time job. And so the money that I get from partners is my salary for now, until 5 years from now, maybe. But for now, producing is my business, and it has been for a long time. It still is, except instead of artists, or mostly artists, it's mostly composers and other people. And those people get my full attention all week long, and especially on Mondays in our meeting. Okay. R&B News Review says, lunch is over. Got to get back to work. And amen to that. And so moving along here, Mary Malone says, hello. Finally, I came across your live show. P.S. You'd be a great library owner. Well, I kind of am already, Mary. Like it or not, I am. But the difference is I want to be involved in making the music. I never want to get to a place, and because this is where I got as a producer. I got to a place where I was never writing anything. All I was doing was helping people produce their music. And that was an empty pursuit for me personally. I'm a composer, I'm a songwriter. If I am not involved creatively in each song, in each album, then I'm not doing it. I will not be taking someone else's work. There are a lot of people who send me mostly done things. Matthias, the albums we've worked on before so far, he has sent me mostly done arrangements that I then take and augment and add to and then mix well, and we put out. Sometimes I'll add melodies and things, but for the most part, I am mixing it. Alita, my cellist, will send me lots of cello parts, and then I will either clean that up and add some orchestration to, or sometimes it's just so beautiful in its kind of small form of cello parts that I don't add stuff to it, or I might add one thing. But I've got to be involved in every production. If I'm not, and certainly I've got to be involved in the final mix and master for quality purposes, because that's what we are known for, apparently, with all these libraries. And so I have to be doing the music. If I'm not involved in making the music all day, I am not a happy boy, which is why I quit doing videos where I would make them and write a script and then shoot it and then edit it to death, and it would take days and days. And that's why you don't see as many interviews, because those take so long to edit. And so, yeah, I got to create the music. I got to be creating it. So if I ever do become kind of library-ish, I'm going to have to still be small enough that I am making the music myself. Because if I'm not, then I'm just back to the role of being a facilitator again. And I don't want to be that. I want to be a composer. I want to be, that's another difference with me and gurus and all that kind of stuff, is that I have to be making it. I have to be crafting music all the time. And if I'm not crafting it, then marketing it to who needs to have it and making all that stuff. I'm really good at organization like that. I'm really good at communication with people and with the libraries and stuff. So it's kind of a superpower. And so I have to be doing all of those things. But if it gets too much where I'm only communicating with libraries or I'm only communicating with clients, then I won't be happy again. I'll have to go back to the music part. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks so much for watching and for being part of it. If you are someone who just needs some free stuff, and you need to know how to make music income, I have lots of things for you, especially the 50 Ways to Make Music Income is a great little PDF that you can download for free. Get that and become part of that. And then also, of course, just one last pitch for the Getting in Sync ebook. Version 5 is in the description below. I just went through the entire thing last week because I felt like, I want to make sure it's fresh, because if there's anything I do think that I can sell, it's my story on how I got into sync licensing and what works for me. And I think this will be of a lot of use for you. And then finally, as I've been talking about through this entire thing, the thing that's most important for me is to work with partners. I think there's no greater thing that I could do is to work with others and us make great stuff together. And to me, that is because, I make lots of stuff by myself. Tons of stuff by myself. I make it and I get 100% of it. But I've heard this said before. I've heard Jesse say this. I've heard Dave say this. I've heard other people say this. It's not about how much percentage you own of something. It's about how much quantity of stuff you have out there that's making you money. Because that 50%, I'd rather have 50% of something than 100% of nothing, or 0% of nothing. You gotta make it. And in order to get the quantity I want out, I need partners. So if you are a player of some kind, and I mean a professional player, then you need to talk to me. If you are a composer and you are creating a lot of stuff and you have no outlet for it, and just all the stuff, talk about it getting exhausted. Just the thought of trying to find libraries and get your stuff to the level it needs to be exhausts you, then you need to contact me at Positive Spin Partners and take a look at the site and talk to me. I need people in every space. We do every kind of genre. So there is nothing you can surprise me with. I'm doing Middle Eastern fusion, funk right now. And I'm also doing cello albums, and we're doing Celtic harp albums, and they're all getting signed. They're all getting signed to libraries. So come with me and let's work together. And hey, I just thank you that you've been here, and I'm just happy to be here and not frustrated and not exhausted at all after this conversation. I hope you feel the same way, because it got hot and some hot takes happened during this video. So thanks so much for being here. I'm going to sign off now and actually go right back to making music and talking with my partners and working with my partners. And that's what I'm going to do. Thanks everybody who's been here. Give us a thumbs up. Have a great week. And we will see you soon here on the Make Music Income podcast. Thanks everybody.